Implementation Committee's meeting to order.
Just don't get in trouble.
Oh, that's right. Public comments.
I did not put them in minutes. I inadvertently left the minutes off the agenda, so I would ask that.
Ed,
Motion to amend the agenda to add the minutes as part of the consent agenda between 2 and 3.
can I have a second, please?
I'll second it if I can.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Do you want to take a meeting minutes? Right,
Yeah, that's
Well, we have no public comments, so then motion to adopt the consent agenda. Motion to adopt the meeting minutes, or however you want to do it.
yeah, meeting minutes of
December 7th.
December 7th, 2023. Can I have a second?
Second.
Second. Discussion, any changes? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Update on affordable housing.
Okay, we received 10 applications, only 10. This was after going out to the Housing Authority, announcing several announcements at various meetings, the high school, and thanks to Derek Kamen and to Sustainable Task Force, they also put letters in, like the real reminder, Practical Life. I did get some calls from those letters, and people may have applied, I don't know if they applied for whatever reason. I also reached out to the Asian community, because 17% of the town is Asian for the last census, so I figured that would be a good representative to have on what we hope to be a diverse committee. So I did reach out to some community leaders and did get, I believe, some applicants from there. Human Resources Department redacted the applications, and then myself, my assistant Ben Winter, and Steve Sokolak reviewed them. Ray Carpentino, town manager, asked me for my recommendations. Ben had 5, I picked 7. Ben had 5 of my 7, and Steve had 5 of my 7, but not the same 5. So I went with my 7. And I just want to share with you, I don't know who these people are, but
Is that the max? Is 7 the max?
7 is by ordinance.
Okay.
Yes. So what has to happen, and I asked Ray to see if he could put it on the February 20th agenda. I don't know what that agenda is like, but if he could put that on there for appointments, or at least to get the information.
For a town council?
Yes. The majority party has to appoint 4, one being an alternate. The minority party appoints 3, one being an alternate. There's nothing on the applications that has any affiliation with political parties, so that's another good thing.
It's a quirky thing, though.
So
If they have to, how's that going to work?
Yeah.
Well, they're gonna get.
Well, they would know names in their quorum or whatever.
But
No, they have redacted applications.
Oh.
But the problem is, so for P and Z, for example, you cannot have more than X amount per party. Otherwise, what
Yeah.
happens is
But these
all
are-
5 voting members will become one party.
Yeah,
So,
but see, this isn't that type of committee. It's not for that type of purpose. So these are not politically affiliated. They may be politically affiliated people,
yep.
but there's no indication on those applications
Right.
what party they're with.
Right.
Is that
and-
choice
How
made,
do you do
is that
that?
choice made in public or in executive?
I assume the appointments are made in public session, but they're only going to get what I got, applicant 1, applicant.
Oh, I gotcha. So they get it in their packet and they can look at it that way.
Exactly.
Because they're saying 4 plus 1 and 3 plus 1, so.
Well, no, I said applicant, and these were the numbers of I don't know if they were the order that they came in, but they were numbered, all the applications were numbered 1 through 10, and these were the ones that I picked for the reasons I listed here. For example, there was applicant number 1, real estate background, knowledge of programs, educating the public and private partnerships. I thought that was important in the Affordable Housing Committee. Applicant 3 was also a real estate background and had knowledge of municipal and development processes. So I thought that was good as far as affordable housing goes. We had 2 applicants that were residents of the Rocky Hill Housing Authority, which the ordinance actually spells out that you should have at least 1 resident that lives in an applicable unit, an affordable unit. Anybody that lives in these units are automatically qualified that way. But one applicant, resident of the Rocky Hill Housing Authority, they spoke of volunteerism on their application, served as an officer in associations, and appears, and I wrote that way because based upon the wording in their little description, appears to be a member of a protected class. So now the people in the housing authority would either be age, income, or disabled. So they would be. Another applicant, resident of the Rocky Hill Housing Authority, work experience with members of a protected class and appears to be a member of a protected class. Another applicant appears to be a student, and that was based upon what they were saying. Members of the teen council, volunteerism, and related courses of study. Another applicant appears to be a member of a protected class. Volunteerism and educating the public is one of the things that they enjoy doing. The last one, community involvement experience with the private sector and work experience with members of protected classes.
A question to the chair. Can you slowly, step by step, and I apologize if you've already kind of answered this. You have 7 redacted applications that you've chosen.
Okay.
Okay, I say redacted because so we don't know who they are and we don't know the party. But we want representatives from both parties, majority, minority. How are we gonna do that if these people, this is redacted? Where are you forwarding it? What's the next step with these 7?
No, they have to, well, by ordinance, they're supposed to choose. Obviously,
Who
this
is they?
They, the council, is supposed to be choosing
Are they
these.
choosing from a redacted document?
We have 10 applicants.
Right,
They may get all 10 applications, that's up to our town manager.
but they're all anonymous. They're not identifiable.
They have.
Party-wise, no.
Party-wise, no.
Party-wise, no,
Name,
and even
okay,
names,
name.
no.
So they pick 7 and they're all Republicans, just by
Yeah.
chance. Then what happens? Because you need both parties represented. So what I'm getting at is how are we
Well,
going
no,
to handle this
the
process?
per the ordinance, there's nothing party related.
I thought it had to be 4 and 3 or
Well,
something like
that's
that.
what, they're telling me they pick them. That doesn't mean that they have to be affiliated with the party.
Oh, so it may be
People in the
unbalanced.
past.
So you're,
Oh,
so
okay.
you're saying Republicans get 4 choices and
And-
Democrats
okay.
get 3
So
choices?
that's correct.
Out of a
Out of-
pool of
of-
10,
of-
20, 50, 70,
Oh,
whatever
yeah.
it is.
But
Yeah,
still
I mean,
unidentified.
Unidentifiable,
So,
yeah.
so,
So it sounds like, it's like a draft, and the
But you
Republicans
still
get
can
4,
have-
and
So-
But we could pick
majority-
each other's,
right. Majority will
Yeah,
get 4,
yeah,
minority
they get to
gets 2,
choose
that's
4.
it, simple.
okay.
Out of the 10.
So this is
Yeah.
this is a blind selection process where we're picking the best people,
Right.
That's.
regardless of party.
Yeah, I don't want,
That's all I wanted
Is
to
it-
clarify.
Is the affordable housing resolution on our website now?
if you go to town clerk,
Oh, town clerk, oh, sorry.
the problem is there hasn't been assigned it hasn't been assigned a number yet.
It'll be interesting how they pick. Because
No, this is tax
Yeah.
collector.
minority and majority may be the same person, right? It could be possible.
Down.
Yeah. It sounds like we're just picking the best
New
people,
ordinances.
which is excellent, regardless of their
Affordable
affiliation.
housing committee.
That's
They should all be that way.
it's like a draft. You go one, you go one, you go one, you go one.
But that's, well,
Fantasy football.
that's the way it was set up.
Fantasy affordable.
That's the way it was set
Housing.
up, because it really, this topic is not a, well, political topic, that's me. That's my thing, it's not a political topic.
May I read the
Yeah.
resolution? Just that
Sure.
section. The committee shall consist of 7 members who shall be appointed by the town council through recommendation of the town council, majority leader in the amount of 4 members, and minority leader in the amount of
Okay.
3 members.
Who chooses them. So the majority
But I
chooses
told them
4
when
and the
that was
minority
presented,
chooses 3.
that there was going to be an application, and it was
Fine.
going to be picked like the Commission on Inclusion and Innovation, where they had an application process. Once again, that was redacted and they were given.
I think bottom line is there'll be 7 people. If both my minority majority likes one person, then okay, next.
You're
It's like
Come
picking a
down,
jury.
and then go to the next one,
It's like
and
picking a
go to the
jury.
next one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
It's
good.
like jury duty.
Yeah.
Is there anything else? I mean, good, great.
So-
Hopefully in
so
February
I
they'll be
hope-
appointed.
This will be, so we can get a schedule and get going.
Great.
So I'm gonna come up now, while they're doing that, I'm gonna come up with possible meeting dates, so when I get the people, I can hear possible meeting dates this day of the week, this week of the month, and then,
And will one of
So-
those persons be on this committee?
well, that's down here. I
Yeah, we
sincerely
have to
hope
talk,
so.
have to talk about that, I think, down here, right?
Hmm?
Yep.
Yeah, number 7.
Because keep in mind,
Jumping ahead.
there were
Yeah.
commission appointments for everybody, so we have all new
Right.
people, so we need to do that again.
Mhm.
Right.
So,
Yep.
okay.
As I think Diana Ross said, reach out.
Yes, exactly.
4 tops.
Yeah.
Yeah, but John Lennon said imagine. Yeah,
My
you know,
favorite
when you're
song.
old, you remember these things.
All right, item 4, we are done with that, right?
Yeah, I
Okay.
guess. There's someone else
Complete
who can-
streets policy.
The annual report is due to the council, it's overdue to the council. I've been talking to Steve Sokolack about that, and to Jason Scott in the engineering department. We have some performance measures and standards, and we're at ground zero since this is the first time we're gonna be doing this. I also talked with them about when they start putting together their road program for this coming budget session, that we should meet beforehand. So we can talk about, okay, you're going to be doing, Smith Lane and Jones Way. Okay,
Point.
well,
Point.
let's go check out Smith and Jones Streets and find out, what's going on. Do we need
Yeah.
updated handicap ramps? Can we maybe narrow up the pavement? Do share roads? Do we do bike lanes? Do we need to widen sidewalks? Are sidewalks cracked? I mean, maybe could we do a bench somewhere as an area of
So,
refuge or
so to
something?
that point, why would we have to meet about that? Why wouldn't we just create a one sheet that's goes for everything?
Well,
Like,
that's exactly right.
But not, we don't decide.
No,
We
it's not,
create the one
it's not, I'm
sheet.
just reporting to you.
You create the checklist, you hit the benchmarks, and that's what
Yep.
goes into a road.
And a final report.
No, but
Yeah.
what I'm saying is we're gonna have a checklist for each road.
Okay, yeah, I just,
Check- yeah,
it should be a
check-
boilerplated thing that says,
Yes,
this is what we,
okay,
as
have
a,
we done,
as a
have we
plan-
looked at this? Boom, yes,
Yeah.
can we do this, yes or no? No, we can't, why? From blah, blah, blah. Yeah, exactly.
proof of performance.
Do we have, that's not incomplete streets though, right now, correct? That checklist, that one pager that he's
No.
talking about.
No.
So it might be nice for us to at least see that.
Yeah,
Maybe
or
comment on it.
we create it as part of our POCD and say, go
Right.
forward, this is how we envision our
'Cause we.
roads
Right.
going forward.
Top 10.
Yeah.
Refurbishment, new,
Right.
whatever
I
it
mean,
is.
when we discuss the complete street, right, we discussed a couple of things like bike lanes and this and that and all that, right? So we discussed those kinds of things and pros and cons, and
Yeah.
then we pick certain streets.
Yeah,
Well, we don't.
but I think that we
pick-
should have a benchmark list
We don't
that the
pick
town
streets.
can
No, I mean,
work on.
I think-
Who would make that? Would Steve make that?
Well, the
Would Jim
engineering,
make
yeah,
that?
the engineering
Yeah,
department.
yeah.
I mean, we-
So
Community development.
could we just ask them to
Yeah.
create that and bring it to here next meeting?
Yeah, and then we can memorialize it in the POCD and say,
Yeah.
this is how we want to look at our streets going forward.
And then all we have is a report, not,
This is what we did, and this is what we checked off, and this is why it could happen, and this is why it couldn't happen, why it couldn't,
Yeah.
why it
do
didn't
we
happen.
need a motion or anything? Could we just ask Steve and, just to create that and bring
It's
it
in the
back?
minutes.
No, it's,
Oh, it's in the minutes.
it would be,
Okay. All right, so
Would
next
be-
Yeah.
meeting we'll have, good.
Okay, that's easy.
Can can I say something about Complete Streets now as
Mhm.
well? I'm trying to get bike racks in the old town here, and I don't know when my next step is. I have a proposal of 11 bike racks for the town hall, Cora Belden, what else? The Congregational Church, which technically is public property, it's town property, the end of it, and the Methodist Church. That's the only private. And I guess I'm just asking. I need to ask the question: where do we get the funds? Because I did write the town manager, and he basically said it's not on our list, and it's not in our budget. So maybe I'll go to Parks and Rec and ask them to put it in their budget.
And can we look at it and make it part of our POCD? I mean, isn't that part of the
I
thing?
mean, again, I think it should
I
just
think we
come
need to-
down as a process
Yeah.
rather than coming out as like this 5 or that 4, right? So what we do is we discuss at
Yeah,
a 10,000
the higher
foot level
front, yeah.
as a process. And then from that process, recommendations
If you
will come out.
want X, this is
Right.
how you get it. These
Yeah.
are the processes you go to get it.
These are the
Right.
components of that.
Yeah.
Well, concerning, I was talking to Ray about that, because I was saying, there's AARP grants and what have you.
Right.
But
Right.
there's now on the intranet, it's an internal thing for our email system. There's a form to fill out if you want to apply for grants. You have to say what it's for and why and what it involves and have links to the
Yep.
grants. And then that for town attorney contact or any grants you want to apply for, we have to put in a request, and then it's up to the manager and the council to say, yes, you can apply, or no, you can't.
So is that
So-
Rocky Hill funds or state funds or who
Well,
funds those requests?
The grants.
Well,
The
it depends
grants.
on what grant it is.
No,
Like,
but
say,
is that all Rocky Hill grants or?
is it, that's,
I think it's
that's
Rocky Hill
just for
requests.
Rocky Hill
Correct.
requests.
Oh, okay, so
So
Rock-
if we wanted to fund those bike racks, or we wanted to find out, I could say, oh yeah, it says an AARP grant, but I'd have to put the request in.
Okay, you put the
and then-
request in
and then they would either say yes or no.
but what happens after that?
If they say no, then we're not putting in a
But
request for that grant.
So that's,
for
I'm
that.
trying to figure out, like, are we talking state funds or are we talking
Could be.
Rocky Hill
There are
funds?
many areas that offer
It could be,
funds,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
it
there are
could
many
be
areas.
federal.
It could
It could be
government
federal.
funds, it could
No, but
be-
then if
I think
there-
it depends
No,
on the
this
request.
isn't for budgeting purposes, that's just something different. That's
No,
something
but
different.
if council says yes, then the next step is somebody has to apply, right?
Yeah, and
To
then-
whatever source.
But this is town staff asking to do this, this isn't a public.
Right.
The public asking to do this. So like if I wanted to apply in DECD
Yep.
for small cities, and they're not necessarily fond of that because of all the stuff that
Attachments
goes-
and-
So,
yeah.
Yeah,
so the,
okay.
so the
If I
best
wanted
way,
to do that,
Okay,
I
yep,
have to
yep,
go-
yep.
so the
okay.
best way for us to do it as a POCD is say, we want a widget. How do we get a widget?
Yep,
Step 1, make it known that we want the widget. Step 2, go to the intranet and fill out a form. And
Well, we have to.
I think we need to itemize
I mean, I
so
think
that
that's, we are
someone like
getting,
Ed who wants to do a bike rack, he should have a concrete way or a semi-concrete way to say, this is how you get a bike rack in the town.
I think, but doesn't the
Or a
individual
widget, or
But
something.
who doesn't
that's-
have access to the intranet,
Yes,
you
that's
have to
right.
get buy-in from Kim
Oh, well,
or
that-
from
yeah,
Ray.
that's part of the
or from-
process.
You have
Right,
to-
so
yeah.
that's
The
the first
process
step.
is
Yeah.
who is the gateway, who's the
And
gatekeeper?
that person goes to the
And then you go
intranet
from there.
and-
But then,
finds out.
when you go to the intranet, you're the one that has to say, I want to
Yeah, but
apply
that's
for
you.
a $10,000 grant or
Yeah.
whatever it is
That's a good
to
process,
do,
right?
to
What-
do this.
Who is
Again-
the town gateway person for
There-
this,
but
for
that's,
getting that widget?
I think that's not big issue, right? I mean,
No,
now.
but we should have a,
Now
Yes,
what you're
that's an
talking
issue.
about is you're talking about grants and seeking grants and
The-
all that.
what's
That's
a-
not big issue.
what's a pick issue? What's a pick issue
No.
is that there should be, we should memorialize processes in place to do these things. It should
That's
be,
not POCD or.
but it should be a generalized thing to say, this is what, if there's something in the town, it shouldn't be like granular,
But
someone
that's
should have a
not
process.
our process,
Well,
right?
one of
That's-
the things under the POCD should be, there
Kinda
should
like-
be a grants there should be a grants writer in town.
Absolutely,
That could be under the P O C D,
absolutely.
instead of,
Could I ask a question on this whole thing? Okay, we're talking about bike racks. Somebody else might be talking about benches where seniors need to sit. Okay, bike racks, Ed goes to Craig. I'm looking for benches, I might go to the Human Services Department. We don't want to go to random department heads. Do we have one person like Ray, and Ray would say, okay, this is something that Craig should take care of, and this is something that, you know, Human Services should take care of. Who's the first person you should contact with this? I mean, you wrote to Ray. Is that the way? And then he says you go to the intranet and do the grant?
well, we haven't said that though.
Well, no, but I
Does
I
that
think
make
now we're
sense?
getting
No, it
granular.
makes totally sense,
I just need to say, widget, who's the gateway person in the
That's what we
town?
need.
And then
But the-
what's the process after
But
that?
I think that comes
Very
at a
general.
higher level, that's not
Yeah.
the peak level. We are getting into processes of how town
Yeah, no.
works. We are not, that's not our job, that's not our task, we are separate. I think this should come, I mean, maybe you go to council meeting and say, okay, I'm looking for, you know,
But they're-
bike racks.
Yeah.
How do I get, who do I contact, how can I, you know, all that stuff, right?
Dimple, the prob-
They're not employees. I think this has to go right to like Ray or somebody.
I think,
I mean, if I
I
had
think
a
he's
question
too
for
high,
Parks and
to
Rec.
be honest with you, in respect to his position, I think he's too high.
All right.
I think it needs to be a gateway person or thing,
Do
or
you
it has to
think
be,
it should be the
it has to
council?
come to a committee. It just says, you know,
Well, here we are.
Seems like it has to go through a committee. I think, I agree with you as
it has to
well.
be, there has to be a gateway committee for,
Whatever issue
Oh,
it
so we
is.
need a
Whatever.
new committee then.
no,
No,
Yeah.
no, but
This is-
that's why I say I
this is
think
getting
bike
out of
racks,
hand.
I can't do
Th-
it.
I
this
think
is-
bike racks fall
no.
underneath Parks and Rec. Don't they?
Yeah.
But if I could just sort of maybe turn the conversation just a little bit. One of my concerns about bike racks is that I've now assessed the bike racks in the Old Town Center at our schools and at our parks. And I've learned through my research that we have some really poor bike racks. Matter of fact, the community center has a wave, what they call a wave bike rack. And if you look online and you go to the sources, they tell you these are not good bike racks. The library has a fence bike rack, the ones that just look like a fence,
Yep.
where you put the front wheel in. Those are not good bike racks. So I guess what I'm saying is that not only, well, that's one issue that we're talking about, but the other one is that if we do put bike racks in, we need to have some sort of basis, some research behind them. I don't want to just put any bike rack in
Consistency.
just because it's a bike rack. No, I want to go and say, this is, like Steve. Steve would say, no, you can't put that on the street, you know? So I almost need Steve to agree on the bike racks that I'm suggesting, and also to include a pad, a concrete pad, so that even the new one at the Dividend is a fenced bike rack.
Not accept.
And those are,
But it work. What the ones that are in work.
They-
You know,
they do.
ideally we want the other kind, but that's we're getting
Yeah,
so
we-
deep into the weeds here.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I think,
We're talking
I think
process.
PIC is
Yeah.
not the committee for listening each and every issue and trying to figure out where the funding comes from and all
No,
that.
but
That's
we-
not PIC responsibility. I think what has to happen is, we have a town manager, I mean, you call town manager and say, okay, do you have a process? Who can I contact? I'm looking for this. Do you have a contact? Right? You are not asking him, I think, and then he may say, go to Park and Rec, or go to Human Services, or go here, or go there. right?
What if I said we reverse that and the town puts out a process, and then we know what to do? Instead of us going and saying, what's the process? Shouldn't there be one in place that we
But
can
that's-
plug into?
But that's not our job, right? That's not
No,
PIC.
no, it's the town
Right.
job.
That's what I'm saying. I think it has to be brought up at a council meeting and say, I'm looking for a process. Where can I go for $5,000 for my bike rack?
I can agree to that.
We don't control budget.
Let
We don't know
the
any
town council
budget. We
tell us
don't
how
know.
to,
That's not
But I'll
our
bet they
job.
don't know. They're gonna have to, so we leave it in their hands to get back to us?
I think that's, just listening to the process, I think that's right?
Yeah.
That's what the public part of the meeting
That's
is
the
about.
public part, and say, okay, I'm looking for.
Any meeting is the public part of the meeting.
That's it.
I mean,
So
he-
often
he could've-
nobody
Anybody,
asks-
someone could bring it up at the planning and zoning meeting and say, this
Yeah.
is what I wanna do. I'll say,
Yeah.
okay, here's a recommendation that we give, this is what you do.
That's it.
Unfortunately, the town council doesn't respond to you.
They don't respond to
So
public
they
comments.
they may not even email you back the next day, the next week. That's just, I'm not saying that in a demeaning way, I'm just
Yeah.
saying that in a factual way, because I've been in front of them a number of times, and I know other people have, and, I'm just looking at the POCD, but, yeah, all right, so, my plan is to go to Parks and Rec, but I would like, in this complete, when we get this complete streets thing, this one pager,
Yeah.
I would like, if it says bike racks, to click it off. I don't wanna see inferior bike racks put up anymore.
I mean, again, I think that's.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's, you
Right.
know,
It's part of it.
Right, and I would hope
Absolutely.
that in our conversation with Steve sometime, to say, Steve, do you agree that we can, this is our standard for bike racks? And we're done.
now, for under our planning and zoning, we have bike racks,
We do?
but have we identified
No.
the,
No, we
You
just
know,
say
that-
bike racks,
No.
we
Right.
never, there's,
No, it doesn't.
there's
No.
actually a picture, isn't there a picture in our
I
zoning
think there was
regulations?
some-
There's a picture in our regulations, like example.
But it's old.
It's like a
Okay,
sketching,
well,
it's like a
But-
sketch.
I'm not getting into the weeds.
Right,
I can
right,
open
right.
it up now and do
Yeah, no,
that.
it's okay.
I don't, I'm not getting.
no, no,
into it.
and that's fine,
That's
but,
not why.
See what happened, you said
Right.
it's a short meeting?
no, but I think that's the issue, right? I mean, it's, I think we had discussed in the past when we were discussing complete street, we were talking about signage, remember?
Yeah.
Like the brown signage or whatever, historic signage and stuff, and we were battling that funding, and somehow,
I think
somebody got
to Ed's
funding from
point,
somewhere.
to Ed's point, let's see the thing, let's get it
Yep.
going, and then we can say as part of the POCD that, you know, every street should have a checklist, or every
Yeah,
project should have a checklist, and then let the professionals who execute the checklist,
let them do it, right?
and then, you know, there's some type of input from the POCD, this is what our residents want.
Alright, so that's that. Can we move to next one? Sustainable Connecticut Rocky Hill.
Okay, I talked briefly to Jason today. They are meeting on the 26th. This is their first meeting. They have new members, so they have 3 new members. And they're, just so as a point of information, they're, according to him, they're 125 points away from silver certification. And I want to point out they have the food scrap program that they're doing now. There's 52 households that have these green pails. I'm one of them.
Blue Earth,
What?
Blue Earth.
Yeah, 80 pounds so far we have. It's amazing. In a month with 52 households, 1,366 pounds have come
Wow.
out of the waste stream of food scraps.
1,300 in a month.
And actually, he said it was no less than a month. That's amazing. And
So
that's-
what will
that's
happen
50
to that?
That's
now?
52 households. That's going to a processing facility, and the food scraps are going to be made into mulch.
Oh,
It's
Goes to
made-
Southington.
okay.
Yeah, it's made into mulch.
And then the participants get mulch back at the end of the year. They get it like
Yes.
2 bags.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, I think feedback.
Nice.
I think, you think you
Compost.
get hummus or
Compost.
compost. Or-
Yeah,
Compost,
yeah,
compost.
Yeah, not mulch.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's okay, you can use it sort of as a mulch.
Yeah, but I'm just tickled by that.
That's great, you know, I mean, if you
It's-
continue the math and you multiply
Yeah.
1,300 times 12,
But the
and
town,
that's only 50 people.
Yep.
yeah, this is amazing. This is amazing to me.
Is there anything out there that describes the process? Do they have anything social or website or
It's on their
something?
website.
It's on their website?
Durock.com. But now this is a paying service after 6 months. But the town does have a green barrel down at the highway garage where people can bring their food scraps. And it's.
So it's a paid service, so is there
Right
like,
now, this is a
what
paid,
is,
this is going to be a paid service. The Blue Earth is a paid service, but the town is looking at,
okay,
right now they have the barrel down the highway garage, transfer station, but they are looking at is, you know, curbside pickup,
yeah,
is
yeah, okay.
it worthwhile?
Okay.
Kim,
I mean, we already have the recycling, we have the trash, and then do the food scraps. I don't know what they're gonna end up
do you,
with, but.
does anybody have, like Joe or somebody have any statistics on the usage of the green barrel at the transfer station?
He's not in.
I'm sorry?
He hasn't been in, so I can't ask him, but was a question I wanted to ask.
I mean, that's one day a
Is it
week
taking-
right
and
now.
I'd also-
It's fairly new.
I'd also like to know how much manpower it takes to educate the people as they come by and they want to dump. And is there somebody who has to be dedicated to that barrel?
It has a
No.
sign, it has
No.
a sign on it.
All right.
No, you just go and.
No,
Well,
have
that's
you
good.
seen
I
it?
didn't know
Have
if
you
they
seen
needed
it?
it. No, I
It
haven't.
basically, it's a green garbage can, and on the bottom, there's a big sign that says food waste.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
how?
I gotta be honest, when I talked with one of the, people that work there, I educated him.
Well,
Cause he
that-
told me to throw the stuff in the garbage.
You see, that's why I wondered if there was somebody that would have to be dedicated to it, aside from just a sign
Well,
for the education.
Because you have to look at the
Just a
quality
question.
of what's going
That's
in,
right.
right?
I'll go down
Because-
and, I'll go poke and look
Well,
inside.
it's really a very, very much the tip of the iceberg.
Yes, it is.
You know, the problem, if I may, the problem with these little things that we're doing is that they're not gonna make a big impact. And we need still, you know, we were offered a $700,000 grant in July of 2022. And we
750.
still haven't pulled the string on that. And so, and that was
Who's we?
the town council. You know, the opportunity is there, but we've gotta come up with a plan. And it's gotta be on scale,
Yep.
because if just you and I compost,
It's not going to get.
you know, but to Kim's point, it's something. It's something, right? Right?
Well, I'm
What we're
just
doing is
amazed.
Easiest thing to do is do it in the schools.
Yeah, I'm just.
The easiest thing
Yeah,
to
I
do
mean,
is
I
do it in
think
the
that's-
schools.
And they're doing it in the high school.
Just establish it in the schools for now,
They have
step one. and-
they have an environmental committee, or club in the
Yeah.
school, because I remember meeting
Yeah.
with them with the Board of Ed about doing some environmental programs with other schools in town.
Well, they are composting in the high
So,
school now.
yeah.
Blue Earth, they're doing the same
Yeah.
thing as Kim was describing.
So I mean, we can do it, so that's happening in school, we can do in community center, like senior center, because there is
Yeah.
food there. I mean,
That would be huge.
Right, I mean-
There.
I think those are low hanging fruits
Yeah, just
where things can
simple town
happen.
buildings that have.
The
food.
town building, they can do it, you know.
I guess that would be the sustainable task force that needs to connect with
Right.
other people.
Kim, I'm sorry, did you say 1,300 pounds in a month?
1366,
That's for 50 people, 50, right?
Mhm.
52 households.
52 households.
Just
I
blows
saw
my
somebody's
mind.
green bin out there the other day. I was driving by. There's a little bin like this.
Yeah, yeah.
Good. It works.
And,
It
yeah,
works.
well, my neighbor across the street called as I was standing next to our admin, and she called while I was standing right there and said, my neighbor across the street. She said my name to our admin, has this green bin, what is it for? And so I immediately went back to my desk and gave her a call. And then, no, she didn't get her phone. It's like, okay. So I saw her outside and I told her about it, so she's looking into it.
Cause I think the first 50 were free or something like that, right? There was.
Yeah, it was
that
a
initial-
pilot program.
Yeah.
It's a
So
pilot program.
the task force did a crowdfunding a thing with Sustainable CT. We put up money, Sustainable CT put up the other half,
Yep,
and that paid for
Oh, okay.
52 people for 6 months.
yep.
And as she said, after the 6 months, then it's up to the person whether or not they want to continue.
And how much is that after 6 months?
$123 for 6 months.
123
Oh, okay,
for 6
120.
months?
Yeah.
You double that for a year then, I guess, or
I
maybe it's a
assume
little
so.
less.
I don't know.
Yeah,
But I know that curbside pickup is certainly very convenient.
yeah. You see, the Blue Earth was not coming to Rocky Hill. They didn't service.
Yep.
So now they are. So that's progress. We're making progress without a doubt. But, you know,
Yeah.
Inch by inch.
Yep.
row by row.
So that's good news, at least 52.
You know, so I mean, they are working on things. They do have new members, and Jason and I were talking about what the group could do as far as what their primary focus
Mhm.
is now. And I said, you know, your first meeting, instead of electing officers right away, is you need a meeting and you find out about these people. Not just, you know, their name
Yeah.
and what they do for a living, but what are their interests, what are their
Mhm.
hobbies or whatever, and learn about them and have them go around the table and get to know what they do, and you'd be surprised what, you know, gee,
People have expertise.
gee, I'm a master gardener, or
Yep.
gee, I'm this, or, you know, and you might find out that they might have a focus that can get you to silver certification, or could get some of these
Mhm.
programs more ingrained in the community, so.
So the council did choose and directed the Sustainable Task Force to look at three areas.
Okay.
I think affordable housing was one, I don't know if energy was one, food waste was one, but that's written somewhere in the minutes. So,
Okay, thanks.
yeah,
So at least one of them, affordable housing, we are
yes.
making progress, I mean, you know. Okay. Item 6, POCD.
And this is why we're here. Plan of Conservation and Development. We have, $20,000 in the budget this year, and it was suggested that we ask for more this coming budget session, which we will do, certainly do. The Planning and Zoning Commission will certainly have to use that fourth meeting of the month to, get this underway and get this
Mm.
going. The themes I see, the overall themes for the plan is resiliency and sustainability as far as community goes. We are putting together a resiliency workshop through, there was a core team that had met, and we should be getting going on that soon. We're powdering herself out here in Norwalk,
Mhm.
did the community workshop, the Nature Conservancy will be doing the same thing, and bringing in community stakeholders and partners and public and workshops, what have you. And we would like to take the results from that and basically dump that right into the POCD, as well as taking the affordable housing plan as it exists now, knowing that it has to be updated at a certain point in time, but that too will become part, as it exists now,
Yep.
in the POCD, and once that's revised, that will, you know. So, so that's a big nut to crack as far as getting that resiliency piece done. But I think resiliency and sustainability are the two overarching themes, and then you get into your statutory requirements. You have to hit upon, you know, open space and economic development, and housing, and conservation, and parks, and public buildings, and all that, you know, per section 823, I think it is, in statutes. But that's part of it also. Process, obviously public outreach, but so we'll be reaching out to boards, commissions, agencies, public, private, civic, what have you,
Mhm.
different departments, consultant selection. I know you and I, as you as chairman of Planning and Zoning, and I have spoken, you know, recently about that. Because of the funding level we have now, the way it is now, we don't have to go out for an RFP or RFQ.
Mm.
However, we'd like to have a more creative approach. I
Mhm.
was told I could pick consultants and have them either come in, or you know, people
Yep.
can interview them, and I'm not sure if there's any feel about, from this committee, how they would like to go with that with respect to their consultants. I almost would like to do an RFQ, knowing that they're gonna know the dollar amount we have.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I think we discussed it, and at least my thought was that we have never done the selection process in public like that, right? we always rely on staff, because, at least in my opinion, that takes away political or whatever concerns that people may have, right? It's coming from staff. Staff is the one who understands this with this, and you recommend, you review. If, you know, when it comes to outreach and stuff like that, before even the scope is finalized, maybe we can have public meetings and say, hey, you know, we are embarking on POCD, and we would like public input. You know, what are the things that public would like to see in the POCD, right? And it just, you know, it's not writing a scope or anything. I think it's just information gathering and see what it is, and then staff and us, you know, P&Z, you know, we can take it back and chew on it and say, yeah, these are the 5 topics that we should include in the POCD this time, knowing that we have limited funds. Because, you know, if we had 50,000, we could have done entire POCD like the way we wanted and all that, but now we'll have to have a focus and say, okay, what does our current POCD is lacking, right? Versus what are the new things, trends coming up in last 10 years, right? Because things have changed.
And what did we complete that actually clears the deck and
Right.
add our more stuff to it?
And more. So I think at least what I was thinking is let's get public involved in the beginning, rather than we all define the scope of work and we bring consultant and now we are talking to public, right? So that was my thought. I don't know whether, you know, it sounds like, hey, it's an open process. We are involving public before anything is finalized. So I think we can have, you know, even during a regular P&Z meetings, when we don't have a lot of items, we can add that agenda and we can advertise that beforehand and say, hey, we will be discussing POCD, you know, in next month's meeting or whatever.
Kim, what is the timeline?
Through June of 2025.
That's when it needs to be completed? See, it's starting pretty early then, no? Or about the average?
About, right?
About right, because
It's an update, so, yeah. It's an update,
So
and
you-
as I said, we hope to use that resiliency piece,
Right.
and as part of it, that will just be incorporated. The affordable housing plan, that's all done, that's gonna be incorporated.
So what would that timeline be for hiring a consultant? What would you like to see that be?
Well, hopefully, within the next couple months, that would be nice.
And then perhaps start in early summer or late spring to begin the process?
yeah, I mean, we can
Because
have,
I know you wanna do the public first, but
Yes.
I think the commission needs to weigh in on that.
yep. So we can have a
What's
couple
the
of.
fiscal budget? Is it calendar? Is our budget calendar, or is it,
July 1.
so it's July 1? So technically, if we have a consultant before July 1, we could ask for more money after July 1.
We can ask now when we do.
That's
the
what I mean.
budgets. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we can hit 2 budgets with the same
Yeah,
You're thinking we
Process.
need more money?
I think we're going to do that.
printing alone.
No, I think
Yeah,
we'll
we also-
eliminate, we try to eliminate.
Yeah, and
Printing and
with
stuff,
respect to
because-
maps, we do have people with
Yeah.
GIS experience and,
Yep.
and some, in the office, we just need the license, so we just pay for the license
Oh, okay.
to get that, so.
You gotta produce all new maps for it. No?
So when we start talking to the public about this, public awareness, are we at that point soliciting committee members? Anybody who might show an interest in being on this committee, or how is this committee gonna be selected? Some from planning and zoning, some
Well, this
from-
is the
I don't
committee.
know.
No,
Oh, just,
We-
just.
Well, this is to implement,
Yeah.
keep in mind, this is Plan Implementation Committee.
Yeah, right.
This
So
isn't
P&Z
necessarily.
does the
P&Z is the one. who does the-
POCD, okay, I thought you were talking about
Yeah, we do the,
public for, so that's just P and Z doing the POCD.
so like,
Oh,
what-
What
it's-
USC?
Yeah.
what Dimple was saying before is that we had the consultant in place, and the consultant went out and helped talk to the public. And we're
So we
saying we don't
want-
need a consultant to talk to our own residents, we should be able to do social,
We
our
can
own committees,
kind of do
websites.
that
we should be able to do that before we get a consultant. That's, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah,
that's-
and I think
Before
that-
and after.
Yeah.
And why with
before-
it.
Yeah.
And
This
the
is what we
thing-
found, what else do you think we need to do, type of thing.
And the
He or
thinking
she.
is that rather than us fixing the scope with limited people involved, I think before we fix that, it's a good idea to
Yeah.
go beforehand, when nothing is written down.
Yeah, we want a
Slate
funnel.
is blank.
We want a funnel.
Slate is blank, so let's talk. And then once we get the consultant, now we can talk even more and say, okay, hey, we got these 50 things, you know, and we got this much money. And this is, this is our POC, and we have to update it. What
That
can we
should
do?
streamline the process, because we won't
Mhm.
be all over the place at the
And the
end.
consultant knows what we want right off the bat,
Right.
or
That
at
could
least have
make
a
it
general idea what we
general
want.
idea.
More financially efficient.
Right,
I will say though, I really want to get back to your point before is that this 2015 POCD, I really like to know, if we got 100 items, I'd like to be able to see, well, which ones are checked off. I'd love to see that,
Proof of performance.
you know, I mean, how do we get that? How do we do that?
well, we
can
tried
do
to
that.
do that like last time.
Yeah, we don't wanna do that.
It's,
With the
it's,
spreadsheet.
We did, that's the
Oh my
magic
God.
spreadsheet that we did.
That was a nightmare. That was a nightmare.
It
Well,
can
we
be done,
just
that
did-
can be done.
we
At,
just
at,
did-
at,
we
at
just
some
didn't
point, we,
implement that well.
at some point, we
No, it can
we
be
do
done.
have to, yeah, we do,
It can be
we
done.
have, before we redo it, we
Yeah,
have to
do
say,
it.
well,
Yeah.
what did we actually do?
Does this committee do it, and we just have the list here, and we go, yes, no, yes,
I
no?
can do that.
Or you
Sitting
do it.
at my computer. I can do
Okay.
that. Take those
Sold.
out. Can take that.
Nice.
You got it.
I can take that.
You got it, I'd love to see that. And then we can give ourselves a grade, Victor.
No, because if we bring it out here, it will
Yeah,
never
yeah,
happen.
we're always
Remember
gonna get
that
an A, it doesn't matter.
spreadsheet?
There's always gonna be a curve.
Okay.
You know, I will say one last thing about the POCD. I don't think the public realizes the importance and the power of their voice in this POCD. I really don't, and I will myself try to get more people involved, because you want to make a difference, you want to influence your town, you want something, speak up, put it in the POCD. You see items that you wanted in the POCD, so do I. Check. Let's move on.
No, and,
you know?
I mean, I think when
Not
we did,
everything will go in there.
when we
you know.
did 2015, we had charrette and all that, and we had a lot of people come out to middle school where we
Yeah.
had, you know, drawing boards and presentation, all that, people
Yeah.
writing down. So,
It's a
I
great
mean,
opportunity.
I think we believe in, at least I believe in, like, you know, just open process and get people involved, but it, you know, and hopefully people will get attend and speak up and.
Yeah.
Another thing, very important, and I attended a capital improvements committee. They have a subcommittee on the council now that was meeting quarterly. And I was asked by Ray Carmentino to attend, and at the end, they go, what are your thoughts? And I said, capital improvements planning is not about repairs, and, because that's what was on the agenda. Repairs for carpeting for schools, that's maintenance. It's not about that. It's large ticket items, yes, and that's a large ticket item, but that should be budgeted for, that's repair and maintenance. So that's another thing we wanna include in this, is
Mhm.
capital improvements planning in our POCD, which will
Mhm.
not only help, because they have to take that into
Yep.
consideration when they do capital improvements planning
Mm.
in their budget, and that's never been really meshed,
Yep.
and now it's going to be. So that has to be in here too. So if you need that new school, or
Yep.
you need that new pool, town pool, or
Yep.
whatever it is, then it goes in here too. So, I think this one's gonna be different.
Anything else on that? I think we covered the process, maybe we want to do
And I
it, then
think I
bring it up at
I think I did put it on
our
planning
P
and
and Z,
zoning agenda as well.
so we can
So
discuss
we
there.
can start that process going.
And I don't know if we talk in this item, remember we talked about members from P and Z on this big committee. So, remember we talked about that? And I know Kim always said if you have 3 members from P and Z, now it becomes a meeting. Now, apart from the thought, what I like to do is have both, representation from both parties here, because that's only fair to be, have a third, member from, minority represent here as well. So I think Kim said we can do it, and because we are advertising this anyways, right? I mean, it's
Well,
it's a public.
it would have to be advertised as a special
Yeah.
P and Z.
As a special P and Z.
meeting
Yep.
/ whatever.
Yeah, it's a so then
How many people on P and Z?
we have 5, 5 regular, and
Seven.
then
We have 5,
3.
so you can't have 3 here.
No, there's 3,
Well,
2,
it would have to
and
be a special P and
alternates.
Z meeting if
Yeah.
they
Oh,
wanted to do
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Oh, I see, yes.
So at least by that way we'll have representation from both.
Does it have to be on the P and Z, or can it be from another committee type representation?
No, I think I want from
From
P
planning
and Z
and zoning?
because that's where they're sitting.
That's where it's
there.
gonna be.
Yeah.
You're talking
Then
about
why not
staffing
have
the
just
pick
one,
committee?
why not just have one from each party then? Like you have, I mean, you have 2 now, and granted you both on the same side of the
I
table.
mean, we can have that.
I mean, that's another
But,
option.
Basically,
You know.
kicking me off.
I don't know. What? Well, I don't
Kicking me
know.
off.
You're talking about staffing this
I'm
pick
getting
committee?
Yeah.
my Wednesdays
Yes,
back
okay.
once a quarter.
Yeah.
Starting quarter.
I don't know.
No, I mean, again,
This is going.
Well, P and Z is the one
You ain't
that
going
appoints
anywhere.
pick.
Yep.
And keep in mind, this group, if we talk about the plan implementation committee, that plan is still in effect until such time as a new one is created.
Right.
So we should still be looking at that.
Mhm.
But it's the planning and zoning commission that appoints
Yeah.
the people.
I think
Yeah.
what you're requesting is technically not for this committee, because like what she just said, you want the bipartisanship in the planning and zoning, because that's where ultimately the document's gonna be made.
no,
The
yeah.
implementation is a consortium of,
Of a lot of different people.
it's a consortium of that, so I don't think the parties are, we don't need to worry about the parties in this committee.
I
This is
think,
a working
That's-
group.
no, but I think, at least from my perspective, and I'll open up the floor, at least from fairness perspective, I know we have 3 and 2 who are regular. I mean, they are meeting, they have their opinions, we look at all these things, we look at projects and all that. I like to have their representation here in PIC, because here is where we are discussing all these things, right? So I would want somebody, it's like, hey, okay,
Yeah, but Kim said you have to have a special meeting every time, and then you're not gonna just have 3. Well, I guess you could have 3.
No,
Well, let me say this to
Yeah.
you. So, what if we ended up getting new people from all the different new commissions,
Yeah.
and they're all Republicans? Doesn't matter. Who cares?
No, I mean-
What if they were all Democrats, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because we don't know what commission, what members they're gonna send
No,
to
but
us. Are
that's
we
a-
gonna say that then as well?
but
Because-
that's a very
No,
specific.
this isn't a council appointing committee, this is
Right.
appointed by P and Z. And
Right.
part of my outreach is a memo to the staff people for economic development, or,
There you
and the
go.
chairman, staff person and the chairman.
Yes.
Whoever it is, I
Yes.
don't care who the chairman is.
Right,
Of
yeah.
these different commissions.
Right.
And say, oh, by the way, we need an appointment to.
Yeah.
And-
You owe us a
And they
person.
can do
That's
whatever.
right.
And a regular and an alternate member, but one person has to
Yep.
attend the meeting. And I don't.
You know, if you look at
This
this,
is a-
That was the premise-
absent list.
That was the
I mean,
premise
and
behind
that's
how this was
horrible.
created.
This is a regular absent list,
Yes,
and we
it
know
is.
that they're never gonna, and,
Yeah.
okay,
Now-
not a problem.
Yeah.
But let's get other people,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so,
Although we're doing a pretty good job the way it is, I know, but.
We're holding on the fort here.
Yeah.
again, I don't think it's a big deal if we have to have a special meeting. We are having a meeting and we only meet quarterly, so it's like 4 meetings.
Yeah, but if you have a
But
special.
you're also
meeting-
going to have,
No.
you're also going to have your POCD meetings.
Yeah.
Planning and zoning will have those as well.
No, but what I'm saying is, we are having peak meetings anyways.
Every 2
So
every
can
2
we
months.
have special P and Z meeting when we are having this meeting?
How do you have a special P and Z meeting and have people not in the planning and zoning commission on that,
Right,
having,
right.
having to
That's-
vote
that's-
and
Sounds like a logistic thing. I don't know.
we can't have a planning and zoning special meeting, but have non-planning and zoning people as part of the meeting. As part of the voting
I
part
think
of the meeting or
it's,
the,
You have to chop the
the,
meeting into
whatever,
pieces.
yeah, whatever
What-
the right word is to say is like, you, basically, you're not in the P and Z,
I think
that's
it was,
not part of the meeting.
it was like advisory or whatever you were saying, you're throwing out those names or something, right?
Yeah, this is a working
Advisory.
group. This group here is a working group, appointed by Planning and Zoning Commission. It's a working.
I think the spirit of what you wanna do is great, I don't think it's gonna work with, like what she's saying.
Yeah, well,
In
One
this-
option is
and
one
we
and,
could-
one and one.
Yeah, or, yeah, or basically, it's me gone and someone else on,
Or, well, it depends, we don't know.
Yeah.
Could be, who knows?
But at least I just wanted to throw that
yeah,
out.
to the same respect
Throw
that we
that
are
out.
looking for the
Yeah.
best people for the
Yeah,
affordable housing, technically, that's the basis of this committee too. I mean, in my opinion.
Right, you'd like to have people that wanna show up, wanna be here, and
Who
are
care.
interested,
Yep.
and care. I mean, you know, people who are absent,
Yeah.
they have other things on their plate. Understood.
so we'll
But Kim,
continue.
Kim, as you said, you are gonna
If you
email
have
all the different people.
ideas of commissions or agencies, that may not be a municipal agency,
Yep.
the housing, the
Mhm,
historical
mhm.
society, that's very important.
Is there any way that you have a working list in your head or on paper that you can send out to us to
Okay.
basically say that, okay, oh, someone's missing, you know what, they don't need to be on it, you know, that type of thing? And then we can decide as a committee, okay, yeah, take one from that one, take one from that one, take one from that
I
one.
mean, you know, POCD did identify who the members are.
Oh, there
I
you
think
go.
it does.
It has the
Yeah,
whole
Yeah.
list.
There you go.
Thing at the
So
end,
it's there.
But
Yeah.
we can go beyond.
Yeah, we can go
That's
beyond, but
right.
it's
And then
there.
change it in the POC
Yeah,
that we
should. Yeah.
update, it's part of,
So
the
maybe
implementation of the POC.
what we'll do is, Kim, if we can draft a letter, I'll sign and send it to all these departments. You know, and copy Ray and talk to him as well and say, you know, we need people.
Oh, that's
You
fine.
have to give, you know.
Yeah, you're
So-
right. One of the last pages is the
Yeah.
implementation legend.
Yes.
Well, it's a legend, but it's interesting,
And
they
it's
have Great
different-
Meadows Conservation Trust down
Yep.
there. But this is, I think, I don't know that those are intended for being on the pick.
Not
Those are just people who are going to implement the plan,
That's correct.
yeah.
Well, that was on that massive spreadsheet, you know.
Yeah.
There's a
Oh,
column, who's, may I call it a spreadsheet?
That's going on.
It was like a nightmare.
It was fit
It
for
still
Zoom.
is.
Mute. Mute.
Okay. So, any other comments, questions on that?
Any suggestions? that
Any
we want to
suggestions?
do?
You know, again, I'm just.
I think that comes out of the list that you want to produce, and then we can have suggestions from that.
Yeah,
And then we'll-
all of our commissions and, yeah,
We'll make
I'll
it
think
formal,
about
like
other
sending letters to.
NGOs, NGOs, yeah.
There we can get funding, NGOs. All right, item 7, any other business? I think we discussed that,
Think-
membership suggestions.
Motion to adjourn.
All right,
Second,
all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you all.
onward and upward.
So,